Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Abby with Fitness is Medicine, and today I'm going to show you how to use your exercise machine. Many of them are built very similarly, even if they're not the same brand. And I want to make sure you're using it safely and using it correctly. If you don't have an exercise machine at home, follow along and use some bands. And you can do, I'll kind of give you an option each time I go over an exercise, but you can use your bands in place of all of these that we're going to do today. So most exercise machines have similar qualities where they have a lat pull option and a chest or a row option, and then maybe some leg options. So I'm going to go over those. So begin with, the lat pull option is a great thing because that can be hard to replicate at home. The only problem I have is like this one. When I sit in the seat like this, I am very close to that bar. And it's really hard to keep kind of out of the way of that bar. I can do it, but I don't want you to make the mistake of doing this and pulling it behind your head. That's kind of an old way to do the lat pull, and it can be unsafe. It can put your neck and shoulders in an unsafe position. So what I like to do with this one is either sit on a ball behind it, or just sit on the machine like backwards. So you can sit on the little leg things backwards. And then also, I put my hands a little wider than shoulder width apart. I rarely put them out this far. It's just a really unnatural position kind of to put them. So I usually put them just a little wider than shoulder width apart. And I do this in my gym too, and this is how I instruct people to do these in my gym. But you want to sit up nice and tall and just pull it to your chest. So you want to be pulling from up to down. Tubby's helping me here. I don't want to pinch his nose. And then, so you're pulling down. So you're pulling your shoulder blades down and together, keeping those shoulders down when that weight goes up. You don't want the weight to rest all the way on top. You want to hold it down here, squeeze it down, and go about 10 or 12 times. You want to have a weight that gets pretty hard by the time you do 10 or 12 times. Also, if you have a machine you haven't used in a while in your home, which is very typical, you might want to put some oil on it. I use a silicone-based spray on my weights to make sure they glide easily. But go ahead and do this. And make sure you're sitting up tall, not pulling back like this. This changes the exercise into a row, which we can talk about later. This is the lat pull. So straight down and then straight back up. Okay, so find a way to do that. If you can also sit on a ball behind it. That can kind of decrease the range of motion a little depending on your machine at home. All right, next we're going to do triceps extension. So if you have a rope attachment at your house, you could take it off and put it here. I don't have one here. I have it at my gym. But you can use this bar for triceps. I need to take a little bit of weight off, since my triceps are much smaller than my lats, my big muscles in my back. So this one is different. You want to stand right behind the machine here, and you're going to bring your elbows straight to your sides. So like this, your elbows are stuck in your sides, and you push down all the way straight. So you can just push all the way down to your legs, and notice that my elbows are not leaving my sides. Up and down. You can just have that smaller, narrower grip on the bar. Remember to keep breathing. Keep your shoulders down away from your ears. Again, you can do this with a band. Loop it through the door and stand and hold it. Bring it to your sides, just like this, keeping your elbow stuck in your sides. Once you bring it like here and then you pull, you're getting more lats again. So it's kind of a secondary way to work your lats. You've already worked them. You really want to isolate those triceps here. Okay, the next one, there are usually, I like to put that up on the little thing so it doesn't wave around and hit me in the head. There are usually leg options on machines. Not always, depending on the model you have. And I generally do not like the leg options. When you do those, they put your knees in an uncompromised position. I don't like them. Leg extension machines at their best can be dangerous on your knees. And this is definitely not the best setup. What you would do, so you may feel a little sad that you bought that leg option with your machine, but this is it. You can do it if you're very careful. You know you have no knee pain. So you want to sit up nice and tall in that position. I would start with very low weight to begin with, but this just puts a lot of force through your knees. I don't really like these. If you do these and you feel good about it, and you know it really strengthens your quadriceps, it does. But use at your own caution. So know that if you do have knee pain, this could really exacerbate that. If you use it regularly and you feel safe and it feels good and it feels fine, great. But I would usually caution against that motion. The other way that you can use legs on these machines is to, I'm going to make sure I'm on the screen here. Down below here is a lower attachment, and I've put an ankle strap on here where you can strap it around your ankle and then do leg curls. Again, make sure you start with very low weight. So I'm gonna just make sure you can see my foot here. And you're also gonna wanna hang on to something. There's not always a lot of places to hang on. I have too much weight for that. I'm gonna put the very lowest weight on for this hamstring curl. I think in general, this is going to be pretty hard. You can do this with a band. You can loop a band around somewhere in front of you. What I'm doing is I'm standing on one leg, stabilizing with my right hip here, and curling that left leg. So you want to make sure you stabilize, keeping your hips and your thighs in the same plane of motion and just bending your knee. So that will isolate that hamstring. So use a very light weight in order to do that. If you have that option on your machine. If you don't, then you can do bridges on the ground like we've done in the past. You can do it with a band like I just said. So if you loop a band around, you can even do it with a loop if you have a loop, or you can strap the band around your ankles like this. Again, you're hanging onto something and then you pull back like that. So that's a similar exercise. So if you don't have that, you can do it with your band like this at home. It's just isolating that hamstring. And also it's a little hip, whoops, that's the danger of using a band. It can kind of slide up your leg. Make sure you have it nice and flat. And then you can do hamstring curls like that. The other thing is, if you have these and you don't want to use them, or you don't have these options on your machine, just stand next to it and use it for support and do some squats. So make sure you're not going to hit your head on anything. But this is a good opportunity to just, you know, you're still right next to your machine. You don't need a lot of extra equipment or space. Keeping your chest tall. And if you reach out for something to grab onto, that gives you that opportunity to really sit back, lowering those hips, sitting back, keeping your knees over your ankles, and then standing back up. So you can do at least 10 of these. Again, there's no weight, but your body weight typically is a really great resistance for many, many exercises. So we'll do that 10 times. And then we're going to come back to the machine. And I'm going to put a little more weight on there again. And there's a couple different ways we can do a row. So we can use this bar like we did for the lat pull. This gets tangled sometimes. Then, oh, hold on. All right. Let it untangle by itself. There we go. So one thing you can do is stand back like this and row. So you're standing taller. You're able to pull more in a horizontal direction and just stand like this. Make sure your abs are supported so that your back, your lower back isn't doing all the work. You want your upper back to be doing the work here. You're between your shoulder blades. You're squeezing those shoulders, really working on those postural muscles. So this is one way to do it. The other way is, you know, sometimes they come with more than one attachment. I'm just going to show you how you can do it all with this attachment because I don't have my other attachments here. So this one has an attachment here. So this one already is lowered down. And one thing you can do too is just stabilize against this part of the machine. So you just stabilize and pull. So this is really that lateral pulling, rowing your boat, rowing, squeezing those shoulder blades. And again, if you don't have a machine at home, you can do these with your bands. Get that band about chest height, slam it in your door, or wrap it around a railing or something. Nice and easy. So you can either stabilize against these knee pads or step back and make the stabilization on your own. Keep those abs nice and tight. I'm not doing a squat, but I'm just in an athletic position. My knees are bent, my hips are bent, my abs are tight, so that I'm stabilizing and really just working those upper back and shoulder muscles. Okay, now, so that was the row. I'm going to put this down out of the way. Now I'm going to turn it around and do a chest press. So this one has the option. These can kind of move out of the way, which is nice when you're not using it. And then you can bring them forward for when you're ready to do a chest press. So if you don't have this machine and you're at home, you can do a chest press standing with the band behind you and push forward, or you can do some push-ups, or you can do some chest press with dumbbells lying on the ground. Those are all the other options to use if you're not following along with this machine video today. So good posture, shoulders down. That's important here because it's easy to lift your shoulders up and then push. So keep those shoulders down away from your ears. Push forward. Make sure you're breathing. And you're going to have to probably change the weight around depending on which exercise you're doing. I kind of put mine at a little bit lower weight so I wouldn't have to change it a bunch for these demonstrations. But whatever you decide feels like a good weight, jot it down somewhere so you remember. A lot of times too, these won't have weights. Like home machines won't have like a pound or whatever on it. So you could put little labels on them. I put labels on these. I just labeled them 1 through 20 or whatever so that I can just say number 4. They're not all equal weights. They kind of get heavier as you go down. Push out straight. Keep those shoulders down. Breathe. If this range of motion, typically these aren't necessarily functional range of motions that you will get on a home machine. If this hurts anything, just stop and use a band or use some dumbbells or do some push-ups, because typically you can get your elbows and your shoulders in a better range of motion with those. These are typically pretty wide. Like I feel like I'm pretty wide here compared to what I would normally do. But if you want to, some people love to use their home machine. You spend a lot of money on it and they're sitting there, use it. So I just wanted to show you a good way to use your home machine. Okay, I think I've covered all the options on this machine. I know there's more you can do. You can, I'm going to show you this lower one again. You can link like a bar here to do bicep curls. You can do, you know, different things with your ankle weights here. Like you could do out to the side, some hip extension and some hip abduction, excuse me, and some hip extension where you don't bend that knee with a little bit of resistance. Typically though, this might be a little bit, this too much for what you're getting on the machine here. So if you would like more suggestions, or if you have a machine that has even more options or fewer options and you're not sure what to do with it, shoot me a message and I will give you some ideas on what you can do. You could even take a picture of it, send it to me privately, and I can help you out with what to do. Typically too, they come with like a chart of exercises, but if you've lost that long ago, just shoot me a picture of your machine and I can help give you some ideas. The last one we're going to do is we're just going to balance, I think we'll do a tandem stance. And what I want you to do is we're going to tap forward and then tap backwards. So not really doing that full tandem stance, but bringing that foot all the way forward in front. Make sure you can see my feet here. All the way forward in front and then all the way back behind. Make sure none of your equipment is still in the way. Forward and back. All the way in front so your heel hits your toe and then your toe hits your heel. We'll do that about 10 times. And then we'll switch. Shake your hips out if you need to. That hip stabilizing hip has to work pretty hard to keep you upright, keeping your abs nice and tight. All right, forward and back. Usually these provide a good, stable, sturdy surface to hang on to. So if you're doing a balance exercise, you could make sure you're standing next to something like this that you can really grab onto if you do lose your balance. Or you could keep this forward, use it a little bit like a bar. There's also different settings for your seat. Usually if you kind of get it set to your own liking, then just leave it, and that will work for all of the exercises. If you don't need to hang on to anything, don't, but make sure that if you do lose your balance, you're not going to fall and hurt yourself into that machine. Okay, that is it for today. I just really wanted to give a rundown. I've had a couple people ask me about their home machines and how they can use them. Now more than ever, people have got stuff sitting around and they want to know how to use it. So I've been trying to cover different pieces of equipment, and I haven't used my home machine very much because I know not everyone has one, but I have gotten some requests to really go over that. So again, if I didn't cover something that's on your machine, or if you have another question about how yours might be different, shoot me a message and we'll go over that. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great workout, and I'll see you next time.